I'm standing on the hard-packed earth outside what looks like a warehouse. There are long cement walls and a wide door, and the words El Barrital are painted above that door. I have just gotten off the bus. It's parked behind me, and there are about 50 other people with me, and I'm surprised to see Mexican soldiers in camouflage milling about, chatting, hanging around near their military vehicles, machine guns slung over their shoulders. Behind that wide door are 2,000 people from the caravan that Trump ranted about. Do you remember on TV the videos of people walking, poor, hungry, sick, with little more than the clothes on their backs, many carrying children? And wouldn't you think to yourself, well, how are they a threat to us? And I would say this when I went door to door getting out the vote for Democratic candidates before the 2018 midterms, and we would agree, well, it was outrageous for the president to call people from Honduras fleeing violence in their country an infestation. Democrats took the House. Now it is December 2018, a few days before Christmas, and Trump has forgotten all about the caravan, which I had thought it was still camped at the border. And I thought when I got on the bus at 4 a.m. this morning in Los Angeles that I would be handing out blankets and sandwiches and water and all the other supplies packed in the belly of our big bus to migrants in tents. I thought that I would go tent to tent with the other 50 people on my bus, the priests and the rabbis and the nurses, a lot of nurses, and lawyers and Muslim social workers and other ordinary people like me who wanted to do something. But instead, we've come here to El Barrital, a shelter set up by the Mexican government in a very poor section of Tijuana, 11 miles from the border. Francisco, the organizer of our trip, told us, yes, there are a few people still camped at the border, but most have dispersed to perhaps attempt a dangerous, illegal border crossing elsewhere, or maybe to try to make a life in Mexico, or maybe to return to Honduras. But others, they still hope for asylum in the U.S., and so they wait at local churches, and here at El Barrital, they are waiting. They're waiting for their numbers to be called at the border. Just a few numbers are called each day. So Francisco talks and talks with the soldiers while we wait, and I'm wondering, why are there soldiers? And now and then a few people come out through that wide door of El Barrital. They've got cards hanging around their necks, and a priest tells me, well, those are their numbers they have received at the border. They have a little money to spend at the vendors who've set up at the curb, locals selling food and clothing. The migrants buy burritos at a vendor. They check in with soldiers to get back inside El Barrital. I have no idea how these people are going to know when their numbers are called at the border, and how will they get back there? Francisco is still talking. I know all of us are so eager to get inside. I talk with people on the bus. There's Father James, and he plans to pray with the migrants, even though he doesn't speak much Spanish. He knows the word of God will prevail. And I spoke with Rachel. She's about my age. She's got wonderful purple hair, and she holds seders in women's prisons, but she also does spiritual healing. She has brought her crystals. And nurses. I spoke to one of the nurses, Elena. She is 62, and she came to the U.S. from Belize at 17, pregnant. Border Patrol welcomed her because that was then. And now Trump refuses to follow the asylum laws of our country, forces migrants to wait in Mexico. Elena wants to help the people from Honduras. They must have all sorts of medical issues from the journey. And I said to her, I looked at a map. It's 2,500 miles from Honduras to Tijuana. I've never even walked across the city of Los Angeles. And she said to me, it's safer. It's safer to walk out in the open than be carried by smugglers who may abandon you, leave you to suffocate in a locked tractor trailer. It's so hot in the sun. I'm sweating. As soon as Francisco gives the word, we're going to unload the supplies and I'll hand stuff out and I can hold babies. I will give a mom a break. Finally, Francisco comes over to us. He tells us nothing can be taken inside. We will be allowed in, a dozen at a time, for a 10-minute tour. We can speak to no one. No one can speak to us. No photos. He has us form a line, and a soldier counts us off 12 at a time, and he opens the door, and he motions the first group inside with his gun. No, I didn't come all the way from Los Angeles for a tour, and I want to yell at that soldier. I want to say, I'm not some activism tourist. I'm not like the kids at my daughter's private school when they'd go to Haiti and they'd play soccer with some poor kids and give them some uniforms and think they had done so much, and then on the way back they would stop in England. They'd do a week at the Ritz, London. I am not that person. Everybody on the bus is angry, and when the first group is already out, well then it is finally my turn, and I walk into El Barrital. It's not a building. There's no roof. It's just walls around a concrete floor, and on the walls are a few words in Spanish, which even I can make out. Bathrooms, concessions. This place is what? Some sort of outdoor nightclub. Everywhere there are tarps and tents, and there are men in every inch of space, even camped in what remains of the bathrooms, and what I think must have once been the stage. Porta potties line one wall. The women and children, where are they? Are they kept separate? Are they behind the tents? I don't know. It is so quiet. The men stare at us, and we stare back, as if there were a glass wall between us. And suddenly a mariachi band bursts in through the wide door, the performers in their black charro outfits, strumming guitars and singing. And a skinny Santa races in behind them and rigs up a Santa piñata. Well, these are other volunteers who are trying to bring a little Christmas joy to El Barrital. And the men from the tents, they line up tentatively, as if in slow motion, to whack that piñata with a stick. And the mariachi music is a jarring soundtrack, and I think these people don't need a piñata. They don't need a blanket. They need to get to the United States. And in a moment, the tour is over. And we're back out. And migrants from El Barrital follow us out, and they come up behind us, and one man yells in English, "Rich people, help us!" And a woman holding a small child approaches, and she mumbles, dinero, dinero, and I say, I'm sorry. I am so sorry, because if I give something to her, there are many people coming behind her. And then a boy, he's about 15, he steps in front of me, blocking my way, and he's got a fluffy white owl puppet, the sort of pricey toy I might have bought for my daughter when she was small. Some American mom sent that puppet in a care package to this place. And the boy starts to put on a little show, just for me, dancing, flapping the bird's wings, and locking eyes with me and saying, "I go, you. I go, you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I can't." He steps aside, and in front of me, several men from El Barrital are quietly climbing the steps of our bus. They look over their shoulders, quietly, slowly moving up the steps. And Father James and Francisco and the bus driver tell them to go back, get off the steps. And I think for a moment, there'll be a confrontation of some kind. But then, of course, a few feet away are the men with the machine guns. That's why they are here. We're all back on the bus, navigating the twisted, narrow streets of Tijuana, and Francisco has the driver stop at a church that he knows, that offers shelter to migrants. We unload all of our supplies. People will use them, or they will sell them. We get back on board. Our bus crosses the border and leaves Mexico behind. I am disappointed. I'm embarrassed. No better than those kids taking a few soccer uniforms to Haiti. It doesn't change anything. What's desperately needed is a change in policy. The United States needs to allow asylum seekers to come into our country as they did in the past when they were permitted to stay in the local community until their cases could be heard. The majority did. They did show up for their court dates. I will register voters. I will donate. I will go door to door to door. I will help take the presidency back. I will help take back the Senate. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to work longer. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And every door I knock on, I am going to tell people what I saw there at El Barrital. And I'm going to tell them that place should not exist.